What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. So Bitcoin is currently trading just below 19,000. Just below 19,000 is where we're currently trading for Bitcoin. And in this live stream, we're just going to be discussing the possibility of a local top, or if Bitcoin is just going to moon straight past 20K. At this point in time, honestly, both are equally as possible. Because there is a lot of really good news for Bitcoin these past few days. A lot of news, a lot of hype. But from a contrarian perspective, that is also a reason to, be a little bit cautious, right? We have all this buzz, all this news, and we're currently below the all-time high. So we're going to be going over all the risks right now. Now, before we really get into the video, let me just make it very clear that I am very bullish on Bitcoin, very long-term bullish on Bitcoin, and I think that selling Bitcoin is a risk. It is very risky to sell Bitcoin right now, right? It is, in my opinion, better to be holding Bitcoin. It is much better to be holding Bitcoin right now, regardless of the short-term stuff. It is better to hold Bitcoin than to sell. It is risky to sell, but if there is any kind of pullback that comes in the not so distant future, you should be prepared with cash to buy the dip. And that's really all there is to it at this point. In a nutshell, I think it's risky to sell Bitcoin. It's risky to not own Bitcoin, right? Even if there is going to be a local top or a short-term dip. So let's just make that perfectly clear that I'm absolutely not in any way encouraging people to exit Bitcoin. I think that is ridiculous. It is risky to not own Bitcoin right now. Does that make sense? Am I totally clear with that before we get started here? I mean, completely clear? Okay, cool. Because I don't want people in the comment section saying, oh my God, Kevin is bearish. Because yeah, maybe there could be a short-term correction, maybe, but I'm definitely not bearish on Bitcoin. Does that make sense, guys? I hope that makes sense. I hope it made myself perfectly clear right there that I am not encouraging you to take any sort of crazy action in the market right now. So now that we have all of that, through, guys, let me know in the chat, is the music okay? Is the volume good? Is the mic volume good? Are we all good? Let me know in the chat. And as I wait for you guys to let me know if audio is good, I'm just going to read chat. What is up, everyone? Eric's in the chat. Ventilos is in the chat. We got all the regulars in the chat. Crypto Cali, what's up? He's in the chat. We got the Discord crew is also in the chat. Yeah, guys, I mean, the thing is, if Bitcoin... So we even have news recently. So most people are saying that the audio is good. Okay, cool. So we have news recently that BlackRock. So the head BlackRock, the head of BlackRock, the head of the world's largest asset manager, which they manage $7.4 trillion as of 2019. The head of the world's largest asset manager says that Bitcoin can possibly evolve into a global market asset. And on that note, considering that the head of the world's largest asset manager of the world, guys, is saying that Bitcoin can evolve into a global market asset, considering that statement, not owning Bitcoin is a huge risk. It is a risk to not own Bitcoin right now, regardless of any short-term stuff, right? So that is the main point here. This is huge news, guys. BlackRock's Larry Fink sounded almost bullish about Bitcoin in an interview on Tuesday as the #1 cryptocurrency briefly surpassed heights not reached for 3 years. Of course, right when right as Bitcoin starts to become very bullish again, all of these bigger players in the financial space start to talk good about Bitcoin, right? They start to talk good about Bitcoin finally. We're seeing analysts across the board. There's a lot of analysts that are coming out and basically flipping bullish on Bitcoin all of a sudden, which is pretty funny how when Bitcoin's down in the dumps, hitting like 3, 4, 5K, everyone ignores it. But then once it hits the all-time high again, all the analysts are very bullish again on Bitcoin. Of course, right? Of course. Ronco coming in with the 5. He says, "How's it going?" Ronco, I appreciate that donation. It's going pretty good. How about you? It's going pretty good. It is going good, guys. Let me just check the chat again. Dylan's in the chat. What's up, man? How's it going, guys? How's it going? Make sure you hit that like button as we get started and subscribe as well. If you are new. So yeah, for Bitcoin right now, things are pretty interesting. We're in a pretty interesting spot overall. So let me just first state that there is a lot of good news, a lot of bullish news for Bitcoin right now. And if that hype continues, if the good news and all the positive sentiment for Bitcoin, there's so much good stuff going on right now. If all of that continues and the hype continues to grow, then Bitcoin can start to trade above we could be going above the all-time high sooner rather than later, right? But right now there are, from a technical perspective, there are some indications that there could be a top here, but again, TA can be thrown right out the window if there's enough hype and enough demand. TA doesn't really matter anymore. If there's enough hype, Bitcoin could just start moving through the all-time high and begin its 1-year-long trek. But there is still a possibility that we have one last correction before moving up. So looking at Bitcoin on the daily chart, as we were moving up above, once we started to break above 11.5K, 12K, during this parabolic run, Bitcoin was remaining above the 70 level on the daily RSI. And we recently, when we hit the new all-time high here, this is actually a new all-time high for Bitcoin here on Coinbase. 19,915 is the new all-time high. So that's really cool. We hit that. We actually got resistance at the 70 level, which was a previous support on the daily RSI, which is now flipped as resistance on the daily RSI. So that is one indicator that maybe the trend is seeing a little bit of a decrease in momentum. Just make sure the screen is. Just want to make sure the screen is bright enough for you guys. Can you see the screen? Is it bright enough? I hope so. So there's that, right? And we also have higher highs on price and lower levels of relative strength on the daily, which is bearish divergence, which did play out a little bit already. Will we get continuation? That's really the question. If we're looking at the lower time frames, if Bitcoin today closes this daily above 19,400, about 19,400, above this area of high volume and above these candle body closes from November 24th, basically 19,400. If today's daily candle closes above 19,400, that would signal that Bitcoin is actually looking for continuation to at least retest the all-time high, if not break through. So if today's daily closes above 19,400, I would be looking for a retest of the all-time high, if not a break above the all-time high, right? if the daily closes if the daily closes below 19.4K and above 18,600, that's pretty neutral. That would mean that we're probably just going to trade sideways into this formation for a while. If we close today's daily candle below 18,600, then I would say that it becomes a little bit more likely that we do start to pull back in the short term. Right? Right now we are just in this formation here, just squeezing into this. This is the 4-hour chart. Bitcoin is just squeezing into this formation. And of course, we're going through a consolidation right now. And at the end of this consolidation, we're going to see who has the most momentum. Now, it's almost scary for me to talk bearish about Bitcoin right now because there's just so much new good news just coming out day after day after day. And it's like crazy. It is absolutely crazy how bullish things are in terms of the sentiment in the news for Bitcoin. So it's almost scary for me to even talk about it downside. But again, sometimes from a contrarian perspective, it's good to do that, right? Because one thing I said on Twitter today, I was saying volume is still declining even with this morning's short-term move up, which tells me this could be a lower high. Lots of new money is being suckered into the market at the 18, 19K area. I'm thinking we could get a short-term, medium-term correction, right? I still see a possibility for that. But again, like I said in the beginning of this stream, not owning Bitcoin is very risky, right? You hear me right. Not owning Bitcoin is risky right now because there is so much upside potential, even if there is a short-term dip. I hope that makes sense, guys. I hope that I make myself clear with that statement because that statement is very important. You shouldn't really care about short term. The only thing you should be prepared for right now, again, nothing I say is financial advice. The only thing you should be prepared for right now is just having cash on the side to buy the dip, right? So if you have cash ready to buy the dip, I think you're good. You shouldn't be really worried about anything. There is so much demand for Bitcoin right now that if we do play out some kind of short-term correction, if we get continuation to the downside, I mean, most of these dips, guys, are going to get bought up, and I don't think we would be spending much time at lower prices, right? So any major dip would be an extremely good buy opportunity. So keep that in mind. And again, not owning Bitcoin is a risk, especially considering the US dollar right now. This is the 30-minute chart for the US dollar. And when we broke below this support line right here, those were the lowest prices since 2018 right here. So this is the 30-minute chart for the US dollar index, low time frame. That point right there, these were the lowest prices since 2018 at the time. Right now, of course, they are, but you get my point. That was the lowest support level since 2018. We broke it, we bounced above it, and then we broke below it again. And the US dollar index right now is performing so poorly. It is performing so poorly that not owning Bitcoin is a risk. Guys, short term is really not all that important. And I'm not here to scare you about a potential pullback because we may not get that. It may not happen. So I just want to make it clear that not owning Bitcoin is a risk, especially considering, how well Bitcoin is doing right now, the orange line, against the US dollar index. You can see that clearly not owning Bitcoin right now is a terrible move. What do we got here? We got 550 people watching, guys. Definitely hit that like button. Let's see if we can get a couple hundred likes on this stream to start off, and also subscribe to the channel if you are in fact new. If you're new. So before we move on, I just want to go over, well, we haven't even talked about the weekly chart yet, but I just want to go over what I said before we move on, just to recap, because we have hundreds of people now tuning in just now. I was saying that not owning Bitcoin is a risk, considering how well it's doing against the US dollar. If there was going to be a short-term correction, what I would be looking out for is a daily candle close below 18,600, and then that could signal a potential further move down to lower prices, at least a little bit, right? And if we close today's daily above 19,400, then that would signal that we're very likely looking to test the all-time high, if not break through. So today's daily close is pretty important in terms of, does Bitcoin still have the momentum here to continue up? And I think today's daily close is going to be pretty important. And as I was saying earlier, the 70 level on the daily RSI was support all the way up, and now it's resistance. Now it's that new resistance level. And we do have higher highs on price, lower levels of relative strength. We have bearish divergence on the daily. Now, again, technical analysis doesn't really matter all that much when there's enough hype. Just like we had bearish divergence here as well. That didn't matter. We kept going up, right? We negated bearish divergence multiple times on the way up. So let me just make all that clear as well. But yeah, if having cash ready to buy potential dip is always a good idea. And also the weekly chart is looking pretty good. Well, it's looking interesting, I should say, because we do have a lot of resistance. Like, we have a lot of wicks now as we're testing the new all-time high. Of course, obviously getting a weekly candle close above the previous all-time high, whichever exchange you're looking at. You could just go with like 19,700, 19,800. Getting a weekly candle close above that level would be very, very bullish, and that could signal a continuation to the upside. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the weekly RSI is pretty insane right now. We are at an 84.3. Now, we have gone above these levels in the past, in the last bull market, so there is technically still room to move up. And looking at the Bitstamp chart, in 2013, we hit a 97. We hit a 97 on the weekly RSI in 2013, but the average peak for the RSI in 2016, 2017 was about 85 or so, about 85, and we're currently at just below 85. So yeah, we could see some continuation as possible, but we are now at the all-time high. So this is definitely a major inflection point. This is definitely a major inflection point for Bitcoin, obviously. And let's go to the parabolic stop and reverse indicator on the weekly chart, because this one will be a pretty good indicator. We are still pointed up. We are still pointed up on the parabolic stop and reverse indicator on the weekly. If we do get a bearish flip, then yeah, you could expect some sort of downside, but right now we are still pointed up. So in terms of the parabolic stop and reverse indicator, we could see continuation to the upside. We will see. We will see, guys. So Bitcoin overall still looking pretty good, now trading at 19K. If we close the daily above 19.6, I'd look for an all-time high break. And if we close the daily below 18, what was it? Sorry, if we close the daily above 19.4, I'm looking for an all-time high break. If we close the daily below 18.6, I'd look for some downside at least. But yeah, so let's look at this. So we have a lot of really good news, right? Bitcoin right now, there's so much momentum here. Visa and BlockFi to launch Bitcoin rewards credit card as adoption grows. A new credit card will offer Bitcoin rewards rather than airline miles or cash. I mean, I'll probably get this one. This is really cool, right? Bitcoin rewards instead of airline miles or cash. That's really, really cool. And this is really going to be super interesting for Bitcoin. In terms of just the what's going to happen when you have these things coming out, when you have credit cards coming out, rewarding people in Bitcoin, it's going to give everybody a chance to own some Satoshis. And more, because of things like this, more and more, you're going to see people basically all around saying, yeah, I mean, I own some Bitcoin, right? More and more people are going to be saying that because they're getting rewarded in Bitcoin. It's going to make it so much easier to get mass adoption. More and more people are going to start owning Bitcoin. It's going to become commonplace as you're seeing Visa launching credit card with Bitcoin rewards. I think that's really, really cool. And this is the fast track to mass adoption, especially coming from Visa. Truly amazing. PayPal CEO calls on crypto industry to work hand in hand with regulators. And this is pretty interesting. Because of course, PayPal wants to make sure that they have the green light from the regulators. So we have all this amazing news for Bitcoin. BlackRock CEO suggests Bitcoin could be a threat to the US dollar. Yeah, and obviously we know that to be true. And basically, Bitcoin's existence is going to make it so that central banks actually they have a bit of a challenge now. They have a bit of a challenge to, keep up with Bitcoin here. Just looking at chat. What is up, everyone in chat? How's it going, guys? Somebody says I'm getting shadow banned again. Is that true? Is that true, guys? Well, if that's the case, if I am getting shadow banned, is that true? I'm getting shadow banned again? I'm just going to post this on Twitter then, so we can get more people in here. Just going to post this link on Twitter. Guys, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat, do you think that Bitcoin is currently forming a local top, or we're going to break out? Click 1 if you're bullish, and we're going to break out to the upside and hit new all-time highs. Click 2 if you think we could see some downside. Let's see what the chat says. Well, yeah, if you see 6Z, if you search for a channel, yeah, you're going to find it. But people are saying that the streams are being removed from their home pages and all that stuff, which is pretty annoying. Some people might not be getting notifications. Some people might not be getting the homepage features. So 1 for bullish, 2 for potential downside. Now again, guys, yeah, I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin long term, and not owning Bitcoin is a risk. And if we do see downside, just have cash ready to buy the dip. That's all there is to it right now. That's all there is to it. So it actually seems like the chat is pretty mixed, it seems. You guys, it's like half and half. Now that kind of goes with this right here. Yesterday, I said, Bitcoin price action, will there be any significant pullback? And it's almost half and half. I said the two answers are no, demand is too strong. Yes, BTC overbought, and it's very much split. So we have a pretty split sentiment in terms of people within the crypto community, or my followers at least. The sentiment is split. It's like half and half right now. So let's see. Oh yeah, one thing that happened that was really, really funny is Peter Schiff yesterday. I just want to mention this on Twitter because this was hilarious. Peter Schiff, as we know, is a kind of like a Bitcoin hater or a massive Bitcoin skeptic, and he says, here's how the Grayscale Trust helps fuel the Bitcoin bubble. First, Grayscale spends lots of money on CNBC, running nonstop ads, pumping Bitcoin to investors. CNBC then returns the favor by constantly featuring pro-Bitcoin guests on air who make pie-in-the-sky price forecasts. And he's basically saying that, like, oh, they don't feature gold, they only feature Bitcoin. And my response to Peter yesterday was, Peter, Bitcoin is the fastest horse in finance. It's the world's best performing asset ever. In order to get thousands of % returns on a regular basis, you need to have volatility. Volatility is your friend in this market. Stop talking badly about Bitcoin every time it dips 10%. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. And it's true, guys. I mean, in order to have massive gains in the crypto market, you do need volatility, right? Like in this bull market, if you listen to Peter Schiff at all, or any skeptic at all during these dips, you missed out on a lot. You need these crazy 30-40% corrections to get that next, 160% pump. And then another 30-40% correction, followed by another 170% pump. So yeah, you need volatility to get those thousands of % returns in the long term. And this is something that people like Peter Schiff can't handle, and they just don't understand it. They don't understand that in order to have the best performing asset in the world, in order for Bitcoin to be the best performing asset ever, yeah, you're going to need some volatility in between these moves. Peter is going to be very sorry once Bitcoin breaks the all-time high. Somebody's saying, I hope that traders don't F up the price. I mean, what's to say the price will go up to these insane predictions like 30K? Guys, $30,000 is not really that insane. A $30,000 Bitcoin is not really an insane prediction, actually. Not at all. That's like the first step. That's like the first step above the all-time high, guys. People are saying that the TA shows sideways chop the next few days. I mean, yeah, it may be. Maybe. It depends, though. It really depends. If there's enough hype right now, if there's enough damage being done to the US dollar, then Bitcoin could, in fact, go up sooner rather than later. Like looking at the 1 hour chart, the US dollar is now struggling for this support. This is the 1 hour chart. We're struggling for support. If we break down again, you know, maybe there will be continued buys going into Bitcoin. If the US dollar index does find support at all, which, I mean, this chart looks so bad. I can't even begin. The US dollar chart just looks so bad. We just continue to slip lower and lower and lower. And every bounce is so short-lived. I think there was some articles being written today. I was watching Sonny's video, and he said that Bitcoin is now being compared to... I was watching Sonny Decrease video today, and he pulled up an article that showed Bitcoin was being compared to the US dollar, or I guess, against the US dollar in mainstream news. So, that's pretty interesting, right? Yeah, I mean, this would have been a great chart to short after the global pandemic, the US dollar chart. I mean, it just looks so bad. I mean, honestly, this looks like a S coin, coin that has no development going on and nobody cares. That's what the US dollar index looks like right now. And of course, this is due to the stimulus news of potential $900 billion in stimulus. And people are thinking, okay, well, I guess the US dollar is going to get devalued even more. And they're just going to keep printing money and keep devaluing the US dollar. And that's what it seems like the path we're on. And it seems like a death spiral here coming for the US dollar. Seems like a death. I mean, that's one thing that Peter Schiff is correct about. The incessant printing and the devaluation of the US dollar, like all that talk. He's right about that, but but I don't understand how Peter Schiff doesn't understand Bitcoin. It just it makes no sense that Peter Schiff doesn't understand Bitcoin. I think he's just faking it now. I think he must be faking it, guys. Ryan Miles says, why isn't gold pumping against the US dollar? I mean, that's a good question. Not sure. Let's pull it up. See. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Gold did have a significant rally, you know, pretty much. And if you bring up Bitcoin, it was the same thing there. The purple line is gold. Gold did have a significant rally here, of course, as the US dollar was dumping. Wait, I gotta remove this. There we go. So gold had a significant rally as the US dollar was dumping. The inverse correlation was playing out, right? Because gold is seen as a hedge, you know, a hedge against fiat currency as well, because it is a hard asset. And now, you know, gold has been slipping against the dollar. Or sorry, with the dollar, which I don't know. I'm not totally sure why that would be. I haven't really been studying gold recently. But yeah, you're kind of slipping with the dollar. I think that eventually the gold will probably find support. I mean, if the US dollar keeps going down, it's likely that this is probably a pretty good entry for gold. Probably. I mean, you're pulling back a pretty significant amount. I mean, yeah, people always talk about how gold, the precious metals market is extremely manipulated. And yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be that maybe gold's being manipulated right now. But I mean, obviously Bitcoin is the fastest horse here. Bitcoin, the orange line, is the fastest horse, and it seems to be Bitcoin seems to be the most responsive to the US dollar, which is great right now. It's fantastic for Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin's price is mooning as the US dollar is being debased by, you know, our system right now. How do I get rid of this? There we go. But of course, that does come with the opposite side, that if the US dollar index finds support at any point in rallies, then, you know, maybe Bitcoin would see a local top here, right? That is totally possible. So definitely keep your eye on the US dollar index. Right now, it looks like the US dollar index is just completely breaking down and bleeding out. But if there is a significant rebound with the US dollar, then yeah, you could be looking for Bitcoin to potentially play out some kind of pullback. But for now, things are looking pretty good for Bitcoin and terrible for the US dollar. Bitcoin is too fast for Peter Schiff. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. That's what I was saying earlier, guys. I said this earlier to Peter Schiff. Let me pull this up. Earlier, Peter Schiff said CNBC won't invite. He's like crying. He's like, CNBC won't invite gold bugs on air as their views on the Fed. Fiat money and inflation are considered far outside the mainstream. However, if you have the same views but trash gold and pump Bitcoin, instead they roll out the red carpet and fawn on your every word. And I said, Peter, gold is not exciting. Bitcoin is exciting. Watching gold's price is like watching paint dry. Watching Bitcoin is like watching a Formula One race. And it's true, guys. I mean, that's the thing. I guess you don't really know how much gold there is in the world, right? You don't really know for sure. There's, I mean, estimations, and of course, but you know, Bitcoin, we know. And again, Bitcoin is more responsive to the US dollar than gold. And Bitcoin is the better hedge against the US dollar than gold because the supply is you know, fixed. Somebody says, one day we will mine an asteroid that will have trillions of dollars worth of gold on it. Yeah, you hear that stuff all the time. I mean, yeah, it's totally possible. I mean, it's totally possible that you could artificially generate gold as well. At some point in the future, you could probably just create gold, like in some kind of like lab or whatever. I'm sure you could do that eventually. That wouldn't surprise me either. Now you can also play the contrary, or you could also say that maybe when quantum computing comes out, you could create more Bitcoin as well. But you know, I'm sure there'll probably be quantum resistant layers being created for Bitcoin as well. So I'm not really all too worried. I'm pretty sure there's already people developing quantum resistant layers for Bitcoin. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, we were just looking at the US dollar to Bitcoin. And right now we are ranging in this symmetrical triangle, I guess you could call it. And we're sitting at a pretty interesting point on the chart where, I mean, you have a lot of activity. You have a lot of activity right here. You have pretty significant resistance from November 24th, right in this range. And that does line up with a previous resistance here on the 4-hour chart that is creating this symmetrical triangle right here. So you have all of that, and also that this kind of like lines up with the volume profile here, showing that there is significant volume, basically around 19.6. Sorry, 19.4. I mean, basically 19.4 is the area that you found these candle body closes, these 4-hour candle closes from November 24th. And you also found a little bit of support here, November 30th. You also found resistance here earlier, the 2 4-hour candles ago. So if you get above, if you close the daily, especially, if you close the daily above 19,400, then it becomes much more likely that you're going to see continued upside, right? Until then, we could just range in here for a bit. If you close a daily below 18,600, I would say there's more likelihood of a pullback at that point. So those are kind of the key levels that I'm looking at right now. Right now, we're you know, things are extremely bullish for Bitcoin right now. Overall, hold on, I don't want to get a copyright strike on that. Restart this. I've been doing a lot of copyrighted content, though nothing has happened because I demonetize the streams, but I believe this one's monetized. Yeah, so right now we're in a neutral spot in the short term on the 4-hour chart. Overall, Bitcoin's extremely bullish right now. We were talking earlier about the daily chart, how you know, we broke below the upward sloping parabolic trend line. We rallied that trajectory, that trend line turned into resistance, and we created bearish divergence on the daily, and we're using 70 on the daily RSI now as resistance. So there are some things saying like, yeah, this could be a local top, at least short term. Yeah, you could, if you got enough bearish speculation, yeah, you could see a pullback here. That is totally possible. In my opinion, the next major dip would be probably your last buying opportunity for Bitcoin long term, right? And just to be perfectly clear, guys, like I keep saying, not owning Bitcoin is a risk. So I'm not encouraging that if we start to see any kind of pullback, I'm definitely not trying to encourage anyone to sell. I think that's pretty dumb. I don't just say have cash ready to buy the dip, right? If we see anything along the 21-week EMA, every trader and their grandmas are going to be buying the 21-week EMA at this point. So the closer we get to that, the better. 16K, pretty good buy right now. I'm just talking about buy zones. I'm not making a prediction. I'm not saying Bitcoin's gonna go here, right? Because nobody knows. Nobody knows what Bitcoin's gonna do. All I'm saying is below 16K, good buy zone, great buy zone. 14,000, 2019 peak, very, very good buy zone. I mean, at this point, I think it's gonna be tough to even get there. But if you buy Bitcoin at 14K right now, you know, you pretty much struck gold, and 15K is a really good median price. So for me, that's like, this is like the sweet spot. If there is a pullback, which again, there may not be a pullback, we could blow through the all-time high tonight. But if there is one, this is like the sweet spot for me. It's like, okay, I'm going to start buying for sure at that point. And that's going to be along the 21-week EMA. So those are like the levels that I'm looking at, in between 14 to 16K as a buy target. Now, I'm sure that everybody wants to buy there right now. So maybe we won't go as low as 14. Maybe that 15K could be the floor. We already bounced off of 16K here, right? We already bounced here. But we'll see, guys. We'll see. Again, looking for some 4-hour candle closes and daily closes above 19.4 is important right now. Yeah, a lot of people are putting in fishing orders into the market, which might make it very hard for the bears to push this down. Might make it very hard. Now, of course, we know that things, this market is very momentum driven. So crazy things can happen, guys. Yes for yes says, LOL, this guy is dreaming. Well, yeah, I mean, of course. Of course, guys. Of course I'm dreaming. I would love to buy Bitcoin down here. Are we going to get it? Who knows? I mean, maybe not. Maybe we don't. You know, it's pretty funny. People get like offended when I talk about downside targets. I'm just telling you guys where I would want to buy Bitcoin if we pull back, right? I'm not trying to offend you in like people are always like, whenever I say stuff like this, it solicits these like crazy comments where it's like, oh my God, this guy just said this. Oh my God, he's dreaming. And it's like, guys, relax, just relax. Like, we're just talking about optimal buy targets that if we ever visited those prices again, you know, I'm just explaining where I would be looking to buy. That's it. I'm not saying we're going to do that. I'm not saying we're going to dump. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just showing you what my optimal targets are right now. You guys need to relax. People get too emotional. People get too emotional. I mean, we can see that there's tons of bullish pressure here, right? You know, personally, the market is more bullish than I even expected. Personally, I thought this was going to be a dead cat bounce. I thought we were going to do something along the lines of this before rallying up again, right? I thought we were going to see a dead cat bounce, retrace a little bit. But yeah, that didn't happen. There was just too much demand, too much bullishness. So the market is already even more bullish than I expected. Basil Jesus, how dare you have an opinion contrary to mine? You just want cheap Bitcoin. Yeah, of course. Again, guys, like I keep saying, I made it very clear in the beginning of the stream. I said I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to go down, right? I'm just talking about downside targets, and I was saying not owning Bitcoin right now is very risky. Not owning Bitcoin is very risky, considering what the US dollar index is doing. I mean, if you don't own Bitcoin right now, you're just being left behind. You're just going down in the dumps with the old system. You're not coming up with the new system, which is blockchain, cryptocurrencies, right? You're just being left behind if you don't own Bitcoin. I mean, if you're not long-term bullish on Bitcoin, I don't know why you're even watching this. I don't know why you're even watching this. Just looking at chat. Fabricator says most TA has not been accurate in this parabolic run. Furthermore, most people in crypto are battered from the last bear market. Yeah, I totally agree, guys. I completely agree that technical analysis during this parabolic run really wasn't that helpful. The only thing that was helpful was like, are we holding above this trend? Like, are we maintaining a parabolic trend line? That was like the only helpful thing. I mean, on the way up, that was it. Because we had so much, guys. By the way, I was just pointing out parameters for continue to move up or parameters for continue to move down. That's what these drawings are. On the way up, guys, we had bearish divergence, like continuous bearish divergence, like all over the place, and it only played out very short term. It only played out very short term, right? Like all over the place on the way up. Here as well, like up here, bearish divergence everywhere. Did Bitcoin care? Not at all. I mean, short term, yeah, there was like short term it played out, and then the bulls just stepped in and just moved it up again, right? So TA is like only so helpful in a major bull market, right? And the only reason that right now I'm entertaining the idea that there could be a pullback, you know, every day that goes by as we see all this crazy bullish news constantly, every day that goes by, it's becoming less and less likely that we get a pullback. But I'm entertaining the idea that there could be one, of course, because we're below the all-time high. If we're above the all-time high, being a contrarian is dangerous, in my opinion, right? So as we're below the all-time high, I think, yes, expecting maybe some kind of pullback is a little bit more realistic. But once we get above the all-time high, guys, becoming a contrarian is very dangerous, right? A lot of people like to be contrarians, and it's like, yeah, good luck being bearish when Bitcoin is just ripping straight to new highs. So, yeah. As we can see in the last bull run here, as we hit the all-time high, pulled back, came above the all-time high, pulled back, each major dip was bought up very quickly, right? Each major dip was bought up very quickly. So keep that in mind as well. If there is any significant pullback at all, yeah, that would be probably your last chance. That'd be your last chance probably to get Bitcoin before a long-term parabolic run, long-term bull market. And right now for Bitcoin, we are, if you care at all, we are following stock to flow pretty closely now, right? So we're like in a very similar position here. So with the way that these parameters are set up, we did exit this channel on the stock to flow model briefly before running up again. No, definitely the same thing definitely doesn't have to happen, because if we break above the all-time high soon, it would actually be a shorter cycle than last time, I think. What is this? 1,000, about 1,200 days from bull market peak to official all-time high break. Now we haven't had like an official break really. Not really. So 1,200 days. About 1,200 days. So if Bitcoin breaks the all-time high soon, right, soon, anywhere before the end of January, if Bitcoin breaks the all-time high before the start of February, this cycle would officially be shorter than the last one, which would kind of throw the lengthening cycle theory out the window, and you know, it would basically show that global events are more important than these theoretical cycle lengths, right? The only major factor with the cycle length is the halving. The halving takes place, selling pressure for miners gets reduced in half, inflation decreases, and yeah, that artificially makes people that the halving kind of artificially creates demand, because it's like, oh, it's becoming more scarce. Oh, we have less selling pressure. That's the design of Bitcoin, right? So the halving is really the only major cycle signal, I guess, that you should really be looking at, right? I mean, whether Bitcoin breaks the all-time high now or we pull back and break it later, I don't really think has much to do with some theoretical cycle theory. You know, like it's just, is there enough demand right now? Is there enough buyers right now? That's it. That's all that matters, right? There's no magical cycle length theory other than the halving itself. That's what I think, at least. That's at least what I think. It's really just up to the halving. If that makes sense. Guys, we have 700 people watching. Definitely hit that like button if you're just tuning in. And also, be sure to subscribe if you're new. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. And before we continue, guys, join my Discord. It is free. It is free to join Discord. I'm going to post the link in the chat right now. For those of you that use Discord, hop on into the Discord. Click that link. It's free to join. We've just been talking about what we need to look out for short term for Bitcoin. We'll recap on everything. Guys, I'm actually going to be going to the gym soon. I'm going to be going to work out. And I think it's very important, especially for people that are full-time crypto like me. Maybe you guys are full-time crypto as well. It is very important to get your body moving. You don't want to just stare at the charts all day long. You got to go to the gym. You got to work out. You got to get your blood flowing. And I'm serious. This is not just like, I'm like, it's very serious. You got to go work out. You have to go work out. That is health advice. That is official health advice for you guys. You got to work out, especially if you're a trader. Your decision making will probably be better if you feel healthier and you're going to the gym and your blood's flowing and you're building muscle and you're like feeling good. Trust me, it's worth it. And if you don't have a gym, just go run. Just go run. Guys, you got to go work out. I'm serious. It's so important. But yeah, we're going to do a recap on everything here before we start. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't go over yet was Bitcoin, a few things I was looking at. So can you guys see this right now? Is my screen even visible? Let me change the turn off the color correction here so you guys can see better. I think that might make it a little bit better right there. So this is BTC all exchange reserve. So the amount of Bitcoin held in exchanges wallets. So the amount of Bitcoin held in exchanges wallets is pretty interesting. We've seen this every time there's a major dump for the price, you see that the exchange wallets grow. And then, you know, I guess it doesn't happen every time, but it did happen in March at least. But yeah, we are starting to see that exchange. We're starting to see a slight uptick in the amount of Bitcoin held in exchange wallets. Slight uptick. So there is that does potentially say that maybe Bitcoin is coming back to exchanges at these prices. So maybe short-term correction like that kind of supports potential short-term correction, that we're not just seeing Bitcoin leave exchanges rapidly. We are seeing that exchange wallets are growing in Bitcoin size right now, just a little bit, just a hair. Can you guys see that? Oh, sorry, you guys can't even see that. My bad. There it is. Now you can see it. So that could be a signal that Bitcoin is coming back to exchanges at these prices. Maybe some whales are cashing out a little bit. Does that mean we have to pull back? No, it does not. It does not mean we have to pull back. But, of course, I'm just trying to be as unbiased as possible. We've talked about all the bullish stuff, all the bearish stuff. We can see that right now. Coinbase inflow. So the mean amount of Bitcoin transferred to Coinbase is increasing as well. So you can see that. So as we're hitting these high prices, we see a lot of inflow of Bitcoin going to exchanges. But also overall, guys, the balance on exchange chart is hitting like, how many month low is it? I forget. We're still trending down on balance on exchanges. So that is very bullish. That is also very bullish. And this is one of the most interesting ones that I saw today. Visa makes stablecoin push with Circle's USDC. Leading payment card company Visa is making a push into the red hot stablecoin segment as chosen USDC for their job. Visa has paved the way for blockchain startup Circle's Ethereum-based USDC to join its mega payment network, which reaches tens of millions of merchants and positions the stablecoin for world scale adoption. So the really interesting thing here, guys, is that we're going to see like average people potentially getting a hold of USDC at some point as all these things are taking place. They're going to, average people that don't really understand crypto are just going to have a chance to get it. Like it's mainstream adoption, right? And so people are going to be transacting with USDC, average people potentially, and it's going to be really interesting to see that like the new generation of people you know, getting a hold of USDC, and to them it's going to be like normal. It's going to be like normal, like, oh yeah, I'm just transacting with digital dollars. You know, for them it's like becomes like a normality. For us it's like mind-blowing. We're like, what? USDC and Visa? But for the average person, they're like, it's just going to become normal, right? Crypto is going to be normalized into everyday life for the average person. You know, coming soon, right? Coming soon. All coming soon, guys. And you know, we never saw this kind of stuff back in 2017. There's a huge difference right now between 2017 and 2020. Massive difference in the types of news that we're seeing, in the sentiment, and all these major players talking about how Bitcoin is a threat to the US dollar. I mean, BlackRock is getting bullish on Bitcoin. JP Morgan's getting bullish on Bitcoin. BlackRock CEO saying that Bitcoin is a threat to the US dollar. BlackRock, world's largest asset manager, says that Bitcoin could evolve into a global market asset. I mean, all this stuff is just so damn bullish, right? That again, me talking about downside is almost scary, like to even like mention it. It's like, how can I even talk about it right now? Because everything just sounds so bullish. But I think it's worth at least considering it so that you at least have some cash ready to buy a dip. I'm not saying you should sell Bitcoin. That is not what I'm saying. Not owning Bitcoin is a huge risk as the US dollar is plummeting. But yeah, once we get above the all-time high for Bitcoin, I'm going to be it's gonna, or sorry, I'm gonna say it's gonna be very risky to become a contrarian, especially, you know, considering previous cycles and how they've played out. Once you get above the all-time high, guys, it's game on. It's game on, right? And if you're gonna be a bearish on Bitcoin above the all-time high, you know, you're gonna have a lot of trouble. David Schneebly says, I miss when Kevin used to do shout-outs. What do you mean? David Schneebly, well, maybe you used to be a mod, and YouTube removed all of my mods for some reason. YouTube removed all of my mods. So I mean, I don't see you in the chat like I used to. Ryan Miles, you've been a good supporter of this channel. I'm just going to add you as a mod right now, Ryan Miles. You've been doing a lot of donations for the past few months, and you're always in chat, so I'm going to make you a mod. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that should be mods that aren't. Anyway, yeah, so if Bitcoin breaks above the all-time high before February 1st, this cycle would be officially shorter than the last one, which is really interesting. Now, going back to the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, before we end this stream, I just want to mention that, yes, we are in a consolidation. The price is squeezing here. And in my opinion, if you get a 4-hour candle close above 19,400 that does signal potential continued moves to the upside. If you get a daily candle close above 19,400, that does signal continued moves to the upside. And if you get a daily candle close below roughly 18,600, which is a high volume area, that could signal potential weakness, like if the daily closes down here somewhere. And then you could be looking for a move down to at least, you know, 17.5 or so. So that is like, we're currently very neutral in the short term, in the very short term. In the very short term, we're kind of neutral. So we're just waiting for this consolidation to play out, right? And again, the bullish momentum can always throw TA out the window. But we were discussing that we do have bearish divergence on the daily. We're using a previous 70 level on our daily RSI as new resistance, and that does signal potential top signal, at least for a short-term correction. But again, all the bullish news right now points to Bitcoin, you know, not pulling back at least. Unless you want to be contrarian and say everyone's too bullish on Bitcoin, we're going to pull back, but I don't really think that's the right move. I think the market is actually very undecided right now. I even put this poll out on Twitter, and it's like literally 50-50, guys. It's literally just 50-50 right now. Guys, I think there's only a couple hours left. 2 hours left. 2 hours left on this poll. Let's get all of your votes in here. I want to see what all of you guys think right now. If you have Twitter, follow me on Twitter and vote on that poll. Let's see what you guys think. Guys, definitely hit that like button. Been streaming for about an hour. And subscribe, guys. Subscribe to this channel if you are new. Now, let me check something here. Guys, we're almost at 33,000 subscribers. We're very close. We're very, very close. Let's see if we can hit it. Somebody says Elon Musk's son is here. How does that? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Just looking at chat real quick. You guys were very close to 33K. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's another thing, guys. I don't do daily videos. I don't do daily videos, but I'm updating my patrons pretty much every single day. And we also have the VIP chat. And guys, the beginning of the month is the best time. You get you basically don't pay for Patreon for the next 30 days, 29 days, if you join right now. You don't have to pay anything for till the end of the month. So you can go in and check it out for free for like for 30 days. The best time to join Patreon is the beginning of the month. You get extra content. You can look at one of my portfolios, how I manage it, and also the VIP chat, guys. The VIP chat as well, which we're always talking in the VIP chat. But anyway, we've talked about a lot of stuff in this stream. I got to go to the gym. I want to work out a little bit. And, you know, for those of you that are in the VIP chat, in Discord, in Patreon, I'll see you guys there after the gym. And, yeah, that's probably going to be it for this stream. We went over a lot of stuff. We didn't go over altcoins, though. We didn't go over altcoins. We'll do that in the next stream. We'll do that in the next stream. I mean, guys, Bitcoin is really the most important thing at the moment, for sure. For sure. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Definitely hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel on your way out if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. And join Patreon now for 30 days of basically free exclusive content. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out. Oh yeah, also, before we go, this desktop app right here, you can do custom layouts with this. There is a link in the description that if you have a Cryptowatch account, you can also create custom layouts on your desktop. It's an app, right? So this is pretty cool. I think I don't know why there's some lag. I got to restart, but anyway. I got to restart this, I guess. Anyway, guys, sorry. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Peace out.